But when you were like walking away to your car, like the very last time I saw you, it like hit me so hard, and I was like, oh dang it, like who is this guy?
I know how to leave impressions. Let me tell you.
And I think it was like 4 days later that while you were driving, so you went to LA afterwards, right? And then he was on his way to Chicago, and so about like 4 days later, he got a message from me.
Yeah. And I opened the message and I'm like, Staria. And I'm like, she has to say. And it was just like how she felt doing the whole thing. And she's just like, I don't know why, but I feel like you're someone that I need to keep getting to know. And it would suck if you just left and we didn't stay in touch. And so I was like, yeah, that's dope. Let's stay in touch. And from there, we just kept talking and getting to know each other. And when I leave for my work, I leave at like 6 to 7 months at a time. So
yeah, seriously.
So I left, and I'm like driving to Chicago, and it was crazy because my mom used to be my go-to person to call. Every day I'm like, hey mom, this is what happened, blah blah blah. Mom, they call me like a mama's boy, and I'm like, I love it. I was like, all right, mama, all right. And then slowly, like her and I conversations, like she would take up all my mom calling time.
Makes me look so bad.
So I just kept talking to her, and like she became like such an important person in my life because everything I want that happened throughout the day, I couldn't wait to get to tell her all about it, and she would get so excited for me, and I just so good. I just couldn't wait to just keep talking to her, and so our bond like grew, and then eventually she was like, okay, and she shook the whole thing over. She's like, okay, I gotta know where this is going. Um, is that how you said it, babe?
Yeah, okay, so there was one night that, like, when I brought this up, that I was hit up by so I was, like, dating a lot of, like, for, like, the whole year before I met you, I was, like, that person that was just always going on dates with, like, different people every week, and, like, I just liked having fun. Like, I was not looking for a relationship at all, and and so that night, like, I just needed to, like, know if, like, I needed to stop, like, talking to other guys because I didn't, like, I don't know, I knew that I was starting to get more interested in you, and so I was like, okay, well, let's see if you're more interested, because if we both feel that, like, we want to get to know each other and, like, take this to the next level, like, then I need to stop talking to these other guys.
Yeah, and I was like, listen, like, I'm not opposed. Like at the time, I'm just like out in Chicago. I'm not dating anyone. I'm just like chilling. Like I'm surrounded by dudes that I work with, and so I'm like, listen, I'm down. I'm down for a long distance relationship. Shoot, it doesn't change none on my end. That's to get to talk to her every day. So we shot for it, and it just grew and grew and grew, and we just got closer and closer, and it just became this huge thing. And it was crazy. I don't know if you wanted to fill anything in before this, but she's the kind of girl where she's from the beginning. She's like, I just want you to know. She's like, I just want you to know that I'm not the type to get engaged really fast or get married really quick or have kids at all anytime soon. So I just want you to know that so you don't go into a relationship expecting that. She's like, yeah, the latest, at the earliest, maybe engagement at like in a year from now. And then marriage like 2 or 3 years later, because I'm just not looking to be like tied down or anything. I'm like,
I didn't want to be a typical woman getting married at 21. I'm like, no, I can't. Everybody at home is gonna say, I told you so.
So I was like, all right, I'm chill. I'm not trying to do anything real fast either. I'm just taking it easy. Got a lot of time. And so,
well, I mean, at the beginning, neither one of us thought it would last a month.
Yeah, we didn't think the relationship would last. I mean,
who starts a relationship over the phone? But neither one of us would have had it any other way. Having the first 5 months of our relationship being over the phone, 6 months with like the first month of us not dating, it was so great. We got to know each other like on a whole other level that I don't think it would have. We definitely would not be where we are right now if we were in person.
No.
Because it just like forced us every night. We literally talked every single day.
Every single day.
And for hours.
For hours.
Yeah.
Everything. But one night I remember, because she was going through some like personal stuff, and I remember I was sitting down and she was talking to me. And she was like, I forgot how it came up really, but it got really deep in the conversation, and
This is so I was going through some like weird like stomach issues and didn't know what it was, and like it was just really painful from like the time that I got back from Thailand to like this happened in like July, I think, when we had this conversation. And it was just kind of scary because it was like really painful, didn't know what was going on. Like I went to the doctor like a couple times and they didn't know what was really going on. But I had one night that was like really hard for me because I was in so much pain, and like we were talking on the phone and like I was getting kind of emotional. And once I like gathered myself back together, like I thought about it and I just had a question. I was like, if I had like, I knew I didn't, but if I had some disease where I only had like a couple months left, like I'm like, would you stay with me or would you leave? And like honestly, like I was expecting you to be like, I would dip, like, you know, because like I didn't know like how like serious we really were. We didn't really like have that conversation yet. And so yeah, I asked him and he was like, what was your answer?
So I mean, naturally, I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like, I really like this relationship, but if it came down to something like that, or it would just affect me for my whole life, basically, I was like, I would have to say 60% of me would want to stay, and the 40% of me is definitely gonna want to walk away from this relationship.
More than I thought you would say. So I was actually pretty happy with the answer. I was like, okay, cool.
I was like, I'm sorry, I just I'm gonna be real with you and honest, and that's just what it is. She's like, no, that's okay. And I was like, okay, well, what about you? If I was sick and I couldn't move and everything was going south, like, what would you do? Like, what's the percentage of you staying by me? And she like honestly like looked at me. Oh, look at me. But she's just like paused and she was like, I would stay with you 100%. Like, there's not a doubt of me leaving you. And at that moment, I just like stopped and I was like choking on the phone a little bit. I was like,
You went silent.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I went so silent. I just felt like this strong feeling in my heart. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, I've never had someone that cared like that much for me before. Like my mom, obviously, but besides from my mom and my sister. But like, it just hit me so strong. And I was like, holy cow, like, this is the girl. Like, this is definitely someone that I've been searching for my entire adult life. And that's when I knew. I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl. I think I told her. I was like,
yeah, that night you told me, and I thought you were kidding, but like you kept going on. You were like, no, I'm serious. I'm gonna marry you one day. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I've known I loved you since like we started dating, so I'm okay with it.
I was like, I'm gonna marry you. Like, babe, I'm gonna marry you.
So like the mid June and like that was like beginning of July. That was such like a shift in our relationship because I remember when I went to Seattle. That week that I was in Seattle, like we felt like everything shift, and we even talked about it. Like it went from just us being like boyfriend girlfriend to us like it was like getting into like a serious state. That was I always think back to that time.
It's crazy. It felt like forever ago. It was not.
Seriously. Yeah.
But so my company, the company I work for, actually, they my boss bought her some plane tickets for her to come out and see me. For us to drive cross country together all the way to September. She comes out, we go. It was so funny. The best conversation was like, so when we were in person, how are we gonna do it? Because we never kissed each other before.
Never, like nothing physical, like at all. I think maybe you gave me a hug before you left.
I did.
But like it was probably awkward because I hate hugs, so I was like, okay, see ya.
Pat me in the back after I slept my eggs. So we were just talking. We're like, shoot, like this is interesting. How are we gonna, like? She's like, I'm like, babe, how are we gonna do our first kiss? Like, what are we gonna do? She was nervous
flight,
about
it took all day for me to get there, and like I had anxiety all day. I was like, I can't take this. It knocked me out when I got to the hotel. Like, I
Seriously.
wiped out. I was so tired from being so stressed. I'm like, I don't want to mess this up because, like, we knew what we had was so good. And, like, what
You
if
know what she told me? Sorry, I don't mean to cut her off, but
What did they say?
I don't know if this can work if you're not a good kisser. And I'm like second guessing my kissing game. I'm like, I don't really know if I'm that good of a kisser. Like, what makes me a good kisser? Blah blah blah. And I was like, I was sweating. But yeah, so what were you saying? Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no, I wiped out once I got there. Like, I went all the way there. You were in Ohio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get there, he's not at the hotel because he had to work. He had to finish up a job, so I was just there with the guy that he was rooming with for the time.
Oh,
And I was like, well, I'm just gonna fall asleep because he wasn't gonna be there for like another hour. And to be honest, I was just too stressed out. I'm like, I can't stay awake. I need to just like calm myself. So I just like knocked out. And I woke up to him singing Eminem in the shower.
So she wasn't in the shower, but so I'm like, I come and I'm like gonna surprise her, you know, open the door, be all dramatic like I am always. I open the door, my roommate's like watching
So
anime on his
focused.
phone or something, so focused. And I'm like, where is she at? And he's like, oh, she's over there sleeping. And I look over and she's knocked out. And I'm like, so much for a first impression. And then I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go shower. So I shower, blast my Eminem music, you know. I forgot the song. Lose Yourself, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And then I come out the shower and I walk around her and whatnot. She like wakes up and I'm like, oh,
My
hey.
first time seeing you, you're like shirtless, and I'm like, dang, okay. You just have like shorts on. I'm like, all right, good first impression.
So I'm like, oh hey, hi, like what's up, blah blah blah. I jump in bed and like it was almost instantly like I just popped her kiss.
Yeah, it felt like really natural.
Yeah.
What's so funny is that he thought that he could go the whole week without like kissing me.
Okay.
And I was like, there is no way. Like, you're gonna want to kiss me right away. I mean, how could you not?
So I was actually gonna go through with the challenge, and she was like, "No, let's just throw that away, cause you know that would be hard on both of us." And I'm like, and I'm
Yeah,
like
that'd
one
be
person for
horrible.
challenge. But now she keeps bringing it up all the time, saying how I wasn't gonna make it. I'm like, I should have just gone through with the dang challenge. What's there? So then, yeah, after that, we
Went on a road trip,
Yeah.
which you guys saw the video. The really cool thing about that road trip that we went on is that you could see like the growth with me specifically, because I was super uncomfortable at first because there was so much pressure to like make sure that this like worked out and that everything was just still good like it was over the phone. And so when I first got there at the beginning of the week, like all my stuff stayed in my suitcase all neat, and like when we were in the car I would sit like very like kind of like stiff and uncomfortable, and like I just like didn't want to mess anything up, and I was so in my head. And like as the week went on, you could see that like more of my clothes were just like getting scattered around, and like I would reach for his phone. Like by the end I would just grab his phone and like type in like where we're going next and like change the music, and it was just cool to see that.
She was all about it. It was crazy. The thing that helps us the most though is like in a relationship, even now, like we just have such a really like strong communication process, or like not process, but we just communicate with each other really well. And so like
we just try to like talk about things right when they happen.
Yeah, so when she was being like a little closed off to herself, awkward, I was just like, we just stopped and talked about it, and she felt more comfortable and was able to open up. And the funny thing is, she skipped over it, but like we went to Niagara Falls, and we were known as, we did a tour, and the guy called us lovebirds, so we were the lovebirds of the entire group.
I think the reason he called us that was the moment when we were both like asleep on each other, like
Yeah.
this in the bus, because I opened my eyes right when he looked at us, and he was looking at us like, ah, you lovebirds.
No, we lovebirds. He's like, Niagara is for the honeymoon vacation spot of the world. And we're just
Ricardo.
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 But yeah, all of that like helped our communication, and we already had a really strong communication because of most of our relationship had been over the phone.
Yeah, we had to have a good communication.